Good morning, Sheriff Comer Marcino. Thank you for being here today. On June 10th, at about 6 a.m., my deputies responded to a residence in North Fort Myers in reference to a just occurred sex crime. A female victim who was violently battered and bruised told deputies she had been taken to what she believed was a cab after leaving the Romance nightclub on Palm Beach Boulevard early that morning. After dropping off another passenger in the vehicle, the victim realized the driver was not going towards her residence, and she became scared. She begged the driver to simply take her home, but he kept driving the wrong way. The driver pulled over in a secluded area near Bayshore Road and Pritchett Parkway and ordered our victim out of the vehicle. Still in fear, she exited and she armed herself with a broken bottle, and she tried to defend herself. The suspect overpowered the victim and began viciously attacking her, punching her repeatedly in the face and in the head to the point where she lost consciousness. She was in a fight for her life. The victim awoke to the suspect raping her with his hands around her neck, threatening to kill her. As the attack continued, the victim screamed for help and she begged him to stop. Eventually, she was able to flee and hide in the woods. After several hours of hiding, she began knocking on doors in a nearby neighborhood until a homeowner was able to contact law enforcement. Immediately, upon deputies hearing the victim's account, detectives from the Special Victims Unit responded and began investigating. I can assure you, we were all hands on deck. We ensured the victim received an appropriate medical care immediately as we hunted for this monster. With the little information we had, detectives began canvassing the area. Analysts from the Real-Time Intelligence Center started to review cameras and other databases for clues. Leaving no stone unturned, detectives and analysts were able to retrace that evening. They identified the suspect vehicle, located the scene in the heavily wooded area, and detectives immediately sent out a bolo throughout our agency with limited suspect information as what we had. This included a grainy image of a suspect vehicle. Patrol deputies saturated the streets, keeping their heads up and eyes wide opening, hunting this animal. Just hours later, patrol deputies were able to locate the GMC truck in the Tice area occupied by 24-year-old Julio Velasquez. Specific details of the truck had been given to the victim, which led our deputies that this was our suspect. Julio was detained and brought in for questioning while several search warrants were authored to collect evidence. As layer and layer of the investigation peeled away, evidence and witness statements led detectives to charge Julio with kidnapping and sexual battery. This sadistic pile of garbage is where he belongs, incarcerated at the Marcino Motel. My thoughts and prayers are with the victim, and I hope this quick arrest can give help in the healing process. I personally want to ensure that she has the access to any and all care and treatment that she will need to recover from this horrible event. I could not be more proud of my family members who responded to the call with little information, and in less than 24 hours, this extremely violent offender is off the streets. I'm honored to stand here with them. I will continue to invest in the latest and greatest technology, as well as my team, because together they're unstoppable. There will be law and order in Lee County. All the residents of Lee County deserve to be safe and secure. I'll take questions.
And does he have a prior record?
So our suspect right now in the state of Florida has no record, but what we do know, okay, is first, our suspect is here illegally, okay? He was detained at the border in Texas. He was given a summons to appear in court and released at the border. He's here illegally. He's here about 2 years, okay? This is why we need to protect our borders. It's because when huge numbers of people can come into our border and infiltrate our country, and we know nothing about them, we don't even know where they belong, where they come from, their criminal history, okay, that's a really big problem. And right now, he is here illegally, and the crime he committed is horrific. It's horrific. That poor woman, how do you ever recover from an encounter like that is beyond me. It sickens me. My heart goes out to her. And the only thing we can do, unfortunately, the only thing we can do is make sure he sits and rots in jail where he belongs. Next question.
Just to be clear, he is not an actual cab driver. She accidentally went into his car thinking he was.
She was leaving the nightclub, Club Romance, at a late, early morning hours, and he pulled up. He was with other friends. She had no way to get home. The club was closing. So she made a choice to, get in the car, and he was going to take her to her residence. Almost like she kind of knew him, but like didn't know him. And unfortunately, she got in the vehicle, and even though it's a poor choice to get into a vehicle with someone you don't know, that gives no one the right, nobody the right to act this way in this criminal behavior. It's sickening. So very, very sad, very sad. So, I want people to understand, you got to really plan when you go out to anywhere, whether it's a nightclub, a restaurant, no matter where you are. You got to have a plan, because you can't just get in a vehicle with anyone. You don't know what that person's capable of. You don't know if they're a good person or a really bad person. So it's very unfortunate. While the victim has no blame in this at all, my heart goes out to her. I just want people to be very safe in what they do.
Yes, this kind of does tie into my question. I know a couple of months ago it was kind of a similar situation where a woman was sexually attacked by someone she believed to be her Uber driver or Lyft driver. Can you just briefly
So that's a different case. That case, he was believed to be the Uber driver, right? And she got a ride home, and later on you see he drops her off, he leaves, he masks up, and he sexually assaults her. These people now know where you live. So if you tell someone who is a stranger where you live, that's a concern. And you're getting in that vehicle with the assumption that they're going to take you to your residence. So that's a different case, but I can see where this guy wants to give her a ride. So again, our victim was without a ride, so she needed that ride to get home, and unfortunately she's assaulted. So it's different case, different scenario, but again, getting in vehicles with strange people that you don't know, whether it's an Uber or just someone you don't know, same circumstances, because it's that heightened awareness, and you never really know who's behind the wheel. Sir?
She actually read my mind. I was going to ask a similar question, but how does this case, you mentioned it was more difficult than the other case. How, did deputies and investigators bring this to fruition, through combing through footage, etc.?
I say this time and time again. I could not be more proud of my detectives, my patrol family, my family members. We're talking hours with very little information. They never stopped working. Okay, when someone is not incarcerated and they're on the streets and they commit violent acts like this, they can go commit more violent acts. You want that person immediately taken off the streets. We had very little information. They were able to use the latest and greatest technology, but that doesn't just solve crime on its own. Okay, they had little or no sleep. They were pounding the pavement, talking to witnesses, watching videos, gathering evidence. I mean, they never stopped. I'm a guy that delivers a message. They're the heroes. And I told them time and time again as I walked out here, I said, thank you so much for what you've done. I could not be more proud of what they did here. Their hard work and dedication. This was what started with little or no information to where we stand here today with him being charged and incarcerated, and making certain that he never sees daylight again. And we will do everything in our power to make sure that he rots in hell where he belongs.
I just wanted to clarify, so was he advertising himself as a cab driver or just kind of...
So he wasn't. Our suspect pulled up kind of at the late, early morning hours. People were walking out. She happened to be without a ride at that time. So he was a complete predator with an opportunity, and he saw that window of opportunity, and she didn't have a ride, so he said, I know you, I can take you somewhere, I can take you home. Obviously, she said she didn't have a ride, so she wanted to go home. And he never said, I'm an Uber. He never said he was a taxi cab driver. He just offered her a ride. That's why it's a different case than the last one. But same type of case in a way that now they're sexually abused and battered and the above. So very, very unfortunate. You know, she was stuck without a ride. And, you know, I don't know how you move on from something like this. I just want to make sure that her family is okay. I want to make sure that she gets the help she needs. We'll do anything to help her in any which way. And again, it's because of the people that stand here with me that an extremely violent person is off the streets. And again, he is not here legally. So he's not in this country legally, flying under the radar. Okay, he was stopped at the border and released with a summons to appear in court 2 years ago. So how does that work? I don't think 2 years is an ample time to get him back to court. So now he's free to roam and unfortunately commit these violent crimes. People have to wake up in this country and understand this is exactly what we're talking about. At the local level, we do our best. We need to make sure that we are safe and secure, most importantly.
2 follow-up questions. So did he move here local? He lived local?
He did. The suspect lived here locally, illegally.
And then another question, how is the victim doing today?
Well, our victim survived. Our victim is battered. I know our detectives are constantly working with the victim, not from an investigative standpoint. I mean, that occurs, but from a well-being standpoint. This is not just a case number. This is a human being that just, an unthinkable act. And we'll do everything we can to help her and her family. One is now after the aftermath, we have to make sure the family feels safe and secure. Okay, because when someone does this, obviously there's a whole different set of scenario circumstances. You know, a child that sees their mom get battered or beat. There's just so much wrong, and we're going to do the best we can to make it the best moving forward.
What was the extent of her injury?
She was punched numerous times. She was battered. I saw the photos of the victim. It was, I mean, it's bone chilling. It makes the hairs on your arm stand up. You really feel bad. The bruising, the swelling, you know, not even talking about the actual act, but just the act of the battering of a woman. I mean, that's a sick mentality. It's horrifying.
They were acquaintances, you said, or how?
So no, but they maybe knew different people that might have known other people, but they had no relationship. She literally was coming out of the place, the club, and he happened to be the opportunist who was there offering the ride. Obviously, if someone is standing there, the club's clearing out, and a person's standing there with nowhere to go, he saw an opportunity, and he took advantage of it.
Is she Hispanic as well?
Is she Hispanic or he? Both are Hispanic, and you know, again, we look at things, unfortunately we see a lot of bad things a lot of times, but we always look to see what can we do better, can we do things better, how can we be proactive, how can we prevent this, and again, we want people to understand, you know, when you're leaving a place, especially early morning hours, okay, just be very careful. Again, there's no blame on the victim, zero blame on the victim. It's so unfortunate, but we want people to be safe moving forward where they're not just getting in a vehicle with someone they don't know. Because again, you never know who's behind the wheel. You don't.
Will he be deported now?
We're going to work with our federal partners. I will tell you this, I hope and pray that, one, he never sees daylight again. I hope and pray that he rots in what's called hell. And again, this is a prime reason. I tell people that argue, because I know it's a political topic and people want to argue it, okay? This isn't about politics. This is about when you go to bed at night, why do you lock your front door? Why? Just take it off the hinges. It doesn't matter what political party you are. You lock your front door for safety and security, right? Well, if you take it off the hinges, do you just go to bed and close your eyes and think nothing's going to happen? Or are you worried that someone can come in? You secure your household. That's how you live your life. And while I'm a sheriff for everyone, it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter what political affiliation. It doesn't matter what ethnicity. It doesn't matter. We just want to make people safe and secure and protect everyone. But that doesn't mean you fly under the radar illegally. That doesn't mean that you allow these sexual predators and narcotics in at the border. You lock your front door for safety and security, for law and order, okay? This country has to wake up, okay? At the local level, we're doing everything we can. We got a great governor, Ron DeSantis, who fights at the border. Ashley Moody, our attorney general. This is a hot topic. You can't let people, and it's not to say, some people say they shouldn't be allowed in. It's not they. When you have an enormous amount of people, okay, coming through the borders, okay, you're going to have very bad people coming in with those people. So we want people to be accountable. We want to know who they are. If they're in this country illegally committing violent crimes, that's not a person we want here. But again, we will do everything to work with our federal partners. Incarceration, never see daylight, and he can rot in hell. Any other questions?
Thanks, Sheriff.
Thanks.